Wonderful. Glenn, it's great to see you. You look like you're very, right? Very interested in what you're doing. We're happy to have everyone here today. We're happy to have our guest speaker, Captain Turner. Which once again, I always like to point out that if you don't know the Navy, the captain isn't like you would think in the other branches. It's best way you always put it, it's like a colonel. So, or higher, however you want to look at that, but that's the same idea. So, someone very important. It's the best way I could always put that. With that said, I'm so happy that everyone be here today, and let's just jump right into it with our flag salute. Flag salute. On out, there we go. All of them. Great. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Now, so we're doing a little bit of introduction. Who we got today? Go ahead and unmute yourself. And you're going to jump in and give a 15-second introduction about yourself.
Who'd you call on, buddy? Who'd you call on?
Glenn, still, Glenn.
This is Glenn Johnson, Secretary of San Dimas Masonic Lodge and member of the Satellite Rotary Club.
Love it. Raymond, let's go.
Raymond Foster, President of the Rotary Club of San Dimas.
Fantastic. Jose, hop on up here.
Yeah, we have this Rotary Club, Satellite Club, San Dimas.
And now, my
name is Isabella Foster, the current secretary of the military family support and humanitarian for about
That time flies. All right. My name is Dominic Torres. I'm the chairman of the Satellite Rotary Club of Military Family Support. And we're going to jump right into our guest. I would let him give a 15-second speech, but I feel like he's probably going to give a little bit longer than that. His name is Captain Ed Turner. He is a United States Navy retired, the National POW/MIA Memorial and Museum. There's a void that exists in the story of the American experience. The gap is wide open in the history of our nation. Becoming and soothing yearned for that could only be partially attained through the realization of hallowed ground, a place for the nation to remember, contemplate, and pay tribute to our American prisoners of war and those missing in action. The National POW/MIA Memorial and Museum is set to pay tribute to more than 140,000 service members. Approximately 95,000 of these heroes were classified as missing in action, with only 12,000 of those having come home. This time, those who serve, these families, their families, and the nation have a place of honor, tribute, and remembrance. And with that said, I'm more than happy to say, welcome, Mr. Captain Ed Turner. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. There might be some echo, and if people could mute their, it's usually that'll help. I'm going to try to share the screen here. Let me know if you have it.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Oh, super. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to talk today. I'm pretty honored to always talk about this initiative. This has been several years in the making, and technically, I think it's been too long. Right now, there is not a national POW MIA memorial. hard to believe with all the memorials that we have out there, and some spectacular memorials, but there is not one that honors in particular the MIAs. And I get this slide I've just added in, and I think this kind of hits home on what we want to do. And that is to really honor these missing in action. And as you can see, there's right now, as of the end of October, 81,512 missing service members that have served and fought for us in multiple wars since World War II on, from December 7th, 1941 to this date. There is that many missing in action. And as the map shows, more than 81,500 from all those wars, 75% of them are located in the Indo-Pacific, and over 41,000 were missing at sea. The last MIA from OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom, were contractors working directly for the DoD, and they're actually counted as missing in action. So to give you a little bit of background, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization for this initiative. And it was established in 2016, and we are located in Jacksonville, Florida, at the former Naval Air Station Cecil Field here in Jacksonville. The former Naval Air Station is steeped in history of finding its roots back to World War II, was part of the greater Jacksonville area Naval Aviation Training Complex. From an auxiliary field in the 40s to a major naval air station, it would provide operational squadrons and aircraft that participated in this country's every major conflict, the base becoming the Navy's largest master jet base. As the Vietnam War was growing to close in 1973, the families of pilots who were whereabouts were uncertain established as POW MIA Memorial next to the base's chapel. It consisted of 14 white cement pillars with dedicated tree plantings, and they honored some of the pilots that were shot down and their whereabouts unknown. A driving force behind establishing the original memorial was a young lady named Mary Hoff. She was the wife of a missing in action pilot, Lieutenant Commander Michael Hoff, and Mary was instrumental in developing that POW emblem, that flag that you see flying just about everywhere. She worked with the League of Families of POWs and MIAs. Besides the American flag, this is the only other flag authorized to fly over the White House, and the only other flag that can fly at the same flagstaff as the American flag. The memorial at the Naval Air Station added 2 more pillars in 1991, honoring 2 other Cecil Field aviators that were lost during Operation Desert Storm, and probably better known as the Gulf War. One of those is still MIA. There's only 2 MIAs from the Gulf War, and both of them actually flew off my aircraft carrier when I was participated in that war. One of those gentlemen was a very good friend of mine, and that's my motivation to have joined this initiative. And matter of fact, I was the first one to go fly to try to find him. We were unable to find his whereabouts, and he perished somewhere in the Persian Gulf. In 1998, NAS Cecil Field, Naval Air Station Cecil Field, was ordered closed by the Congressional Base Realignment and Closure Committee. And that ended its years of participation and for aircraft carrier-based squadrons. The city of Jacksonville actually picked up the base and opened up the Cecil Commerce Center and the Cecil Air and Spaceport. The field is actually still in use today by the greater Jacksonville area Air Authority. So in 2016, there was a few people that decided that the Cecil Chapel that was still there, would be torn down and redeveloped. So a couple of us got together and said, "Hey, this informed this 501c3 nonprofit organization to save the chapel and also the memorials that were nearby." This initiative grew. The city of Jacksonville understood what our initiative was all about, to honor all MIAs from all services, recognizing that there was not a national memorial, and gave the initiative 28 acres to develop the new memorial. And I talked about the chapel. This is really the current centerpiece of the memorial, which is basically the actual chapel that was built in 1963, and behind it is the 28 acres that will form the memorial that we'll hope to develop over time. This chapel actually was used by the city as a warehouse for a period of time, and came in to redevelop it and brought it back to the brilliance of it looks better than when I was there at Cecil Field, and I was there stationed at that field for 6 tours. And through the work of the group and other supporters, the chapel received a historical landmark designation and was completely renovated inside. In the rear of the chapel this is a recent effort, there's a dedicated Gold Star Memorial garden. And this is the first one of its kind in the Northeast of Florida. Now, the Gold Star families are next of kin of a member of the U.S. Armed Forces who lost his or her life in a qualifying situation. And those qualifying situations are war, international terrorist attack, or military operation outside of the United States. The designation of Gold Star always applies to those who were and are POWs and MIAs as well. Their families are Gold Star families, but many wait until military member is returned and buried before accepting the designation. In our initiative is also a piece where we are planning to develop a museum, and within the museum we'll tell the stories of the missing in action and the efforts to recover and account for those that have been missing in action. This is quite an effort, and it also includes artifacts from POWs and as well as families that can provide us information and artifacts from their missing in action. I kind of always have to highlight the picture that's in this slide. It's her name is Dorothy Rose Prim Wright. She passed away just a year ago, this August, and she was the wife of Commander Fred Wright. He was killed in action in North Vietnam in 1972 when his plane was shot down over the DMZ on his 300th mission. This is like 10 times the normal flight operation. After almost 20 years, his remains were finally repatriated and accounted for and possibly identified in 1990. And his remains are interred at Arlington. Here's what we really are going after. As you've seen is the pictures of the chapel building, and this is of course an aerial depiction. But behind it is always been forestry that was on the base. This is the area where we're going to develop the POW MIA memorial. The city already has designated the parkway, and you can see it says New World, and I don't know if you can see the arrow there, but it says New World Parkway. It is now the POW MIA Memorial Parkway that leads into what used to be the base. And here's what it plans to look like. This is a architect design, and it was actually just won a few awards to build this memorial. course, this is the aerial view, and the next few slides will show some of the areas of this particular memorial. And just for location, you can see the chapel is a little bit in the shadows there. And we're right presently in the development of phase 1 of this memorial. And you can see there's up in the upper right hand corner, there's some aircraft, and those are aircraft that flew out of a representative flew out of NAS Cecil Field over the years. Here's a 3D depiction of the effort, and you can see it's a pretty massive memorial. And within this hall will be displayed all 81,000 plus MIAs and their names. It's going to be emblazoned in lights and like a laser lights on a giant wall that's within this memorial. Families of the MIAs can actually come in and get a fob that will be able to find that member's name. And as the MIAs are accounted for by the DPA, which is the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, which is this very day out there still trying to find and account those missing in action. As they're found, their names will be emblazoned and chiseled into the wall behind the memorial. This is phase 1. This is kind of a closer view of that corner by the chapel that is being built, and actually pouring cement as of tomorrow. We'll be pouring cement for the pads, and the depiction. If you see this cross section is actually a depiction of the runways that NAS Cecil Field when it was in action. But you can see that there's going to be 4 aircraft. You also notice there's the brick area here contains memorial bricks that are being purchased, and we have several hundred of those already being purchased, and they'll go into this section. This is the grand hall as you enter the memorial, as it can be stated. The architect really took great pains in developing aspects of this that shows the darkness and the light, and the axis of the entire museum and memorial aims up to Washington D.C. And this is and as you can see on the left side of that is the hall where the names will be emblazoned. It is quite an impressive entrance here as you come in. Behind the memorial is a sanctuary of remembrance, and it's a broad field that has a elevated section that all those, there'll be little spires that are hanging down, and those will be the representative of each of the MIAs. And as the MIAs are accounted for, those spires will be taken down and provided to the families. It shows you the kind of the entry section you can, and this is of course is an area of tribute and also for the families to see and honor their family members as well as the other guests that attended the museum. The good thing is that we have a House resolution in progress right now. It's House Resolution 5297 to provide the national designation to the memorial. And it is co-sponsored by about 30 representatives at this point. We're hoping that the Congress can get their collective act together and pass this so we can get this national designation. Of course, I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that, as we all are. This is the second time it's been entered into the Congress. And the good thing about this, there's no money associated, so it should be an easy resolution to pass. The priority of our effort now is to spread awareness. Talking to you all is a great opportunity, and I really appreciate the chance to talk to you about this effort. And it really is to support the community of those families. There's so many families of the missing in action that have not been given that final tribute that is honored from a, we see that the casket come home and the families can actually see their family member and attend the burial that they're choosing. But these MIA families never get that opportunity. And we're hoping that the defense agency that's out there can account for as many as they can. And they usually do about 120 or so a year, finding those missing in action, that these families can and finally get that finalization that they deserve. And I like to end it with this. This after World War I, Calvin Coolidge, as part of his acceptance speech for the Republican vice president nomination in 1920, cautioned the country. It said, "A nation which forgets its defenders will itself be forgotten." And that's what we're all about, is to honor those defenders that have given their lives, and hopefully we can have them accounted for and bring them home. So that pretty much wraps up what I was going to talk about, and open to questions.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that so much. I'm sure Raymond has a fantastic question because he was absolutely enthralled with hearing you speak. So Raymond, what would you like to ask?
Well, my first question, Captain Turner, is how much is a memorial brick?
And they run from everywhere from $100 to, you can get the larger bricks and upwards. And of course, all this money goes back into the memorial itself. And and I'll send out that website designation again, and you can go on there, and it's actually, you can actually see more of what the initiative is all about, and also order bricks through that website.
Okay, and I was going to recommend that the Satellite Rotary Club Military Family Support buy at least a brick. And would a letter from our club to our Congresswoman Napolitano about HR 5297 help, or is she already on board? Is she on your list?
I don't think she is. Yeah, as a matter of fact, let me do my list here.
Well, what a perfect person to add to that list.
She is not.
Okay, so then we have two jobs to talk about. One is a letter from the club and the Rotary Club also. We probably get one from the Masonic Lodge and maybe the Chamber of Commerce if we twist some arms, Dominic? And get some letters to the Congresswoman encouraging her to support that. What else can we do to support your effort besides the purchase of a brick or something, and also the congressional support?
Well, as your Satellite Rotary Club is really about the military support and families, I think you probably encounter folks that maybe even have a missing in action member. I was kind of looking back through our history of my wife. In fact, started looking into her family history and found that she has a great uncle that is MIA from World War II, and it is surprisingly how many families and extended families have a member that may have been missing in action, and that's what it's all about, is trying to create that awareness.
Do you know why the count that you had stops at World War II? It doesn't go any further back.
It's when they really started accounting for them, and it is a very interesting question. We looked into it, and they said they didn't have an organized way to account. Now, we didn't lose quite as many members of the service in World War I, but they made a determined effort right from the beginning of World War II to make sure they account for every member. So we have every name of all those missing in action, and some will never be recovered, and it's unfortunate, but they're still at this time. You probably read newspaper articles and those things about discovering ships that were sunk during World War II even, and the technology is just amazing. At first, there was they were trying to the initiative was to account for those missing in action in Vietnam.
Mhm.
The National League of Families, POWMI families, really got that effort pushed, and they developed a joint task force and other organizations to try to account for those missing in action, and then that sort of ballooned out into identifying those from the Korean War and actually into World War II. The good thing was that there was already records of all those missing in action. And now this agency goes out into the field. And like I said, they account for about 120 to 200 a year. And those are all from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and onwards. And that technology that's being used for DNA identification and those kind of things. For instance, there was a pretty mass grave in the Punch Bowl in Hawaii of those members that were perished during the attack on Pearl Harbor, and a lot of those remains were not identified till just in recent years, in the last couple decades, where they have incorporated their DNA technology to identify those remains. They have unearthed that, and you might see in our newspaper article of those identified from World War II from December 7th on that attack, and that they're identifying for certainty who those members were.
So I have two final questions, if I may, Dominic. Captain Turner, many of the men that you see here are veterans that have formed up this club, and a lot of us have lost friends either in peacetime service. I'm wondering for you, because you mentioned this specifically. I mean, your friend is missing, and I'm sure you've lost other friends. How is that different for you?
Well, it's when you're in actual operations, as probably many of members know, it's you kind of push on in the job. I mean, I remember when the news of an airplane on the carrier came across the loudspeaker, and I was actually a part of the combat search and rescue cell, and I didn't know who it was. I probably knew him because I knew most of the people in the air wing, and we formed a cell, and then I find out it's my close friend, and he sort of pushed through at the time, and it hit me later. And when the war was over, when we were finished with combat operations, that's when it really started hitting. And and when especially when you get home, and you go visit the family of that member, and it doesn't matter in peacetime or wartime. Losing a close friend, close buddy, is pretty traumatic. But it's a kind of a credit to the training that we all get in the military. Is you push on with the operation, and then later deal with it. But at the time, you just got to push through the operation. And I was just so hoping to find him. Just like every little ripple in the water, I was go, is that his life raft? But that's a personal experience, and there's tens of thousands of those kind of experiences out there, and those members being lost, and it doesn't matter if he's recovered or unaccounted for. It hits you the same.
My last question. Thursday, we had a benefit dinner for Marine Corps families for Christmas gifts. We raised about $13,000 in total at our dinner. It was on November 10th, obviously.
Excellent.
And one of the people present was the president of Gold Star Mothers in California. We also had 19 dignitaries from other clubs, and as well as 9 elected officials. And so my question for you to think about, you've got my email, as far as getting congressional support or political support or even financial support. If you'll let us know what you need done, we will work on it here. And letter writing is something that some of us are fairly good at. Glenn there's really good at proofing my letter writing. So, so that's
you always
right.
need that kind of guy.
So, but we would like to participate in some small way in what is obviously one of the most worthwhile subjects we've heard in quite a while.
Well, I appreciate it, and really, and that I had a chance to talk to y'all, and I appreciate you reaching out, Raymond. This is quite the initiative, and it seems overwhelming at times because there's not many of us working it, and I've learned more about general contracting than I care to ever, but it wasn't my job in the Navy. I was just, flying airplanes and do that kind of thing. But this is quite a new experience, but it just has that motivation. And I think when people hear about it and the chance to talk to you all and some of the worthwhile things that you all do, it really is a pleasure that I could spend the time with you.
So we will also, this is being recorded, it will play on our local community television station 4 times, and then we'll archive it on YouTube, send you the link to it, and we'll put it out via our Facebook page. So thank you. I just want to say thank you and then turn it back over to Dom. Thank you for letting me ask my questions. Dominic, you know how I am.
Absolutely, no, and thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I don't know, it's fortunate how you would want to word that. Unfortunately, my time in the war, we lost a few guys. But I guess the luxury we did have is that, as we like to put it, angel pieces still came home. So we were able to have everyone come home. So I can only imagine what it must have felt like to have someone that was so near and dear to you that didn't come back. And to not know, I can only imagine would drive me absolutely wild, as I'm sure it does to you, sir. So I'm sorry to hear that, and that's a rough break. But we, as Raymond put it, a lot of us sitting here, we are all folks that were in these wars, and it's we can all relate. I don't know if that's a good thing or unfortunate, but we can all very much relate to what that feels like. So I'm sorry to hear that. I should ask though, jump out in front. With the brick buying, are we fantastic with the idea that an organization is buying something versus an individual? I'm sure it's fine, but I'd always like to ask ahead of time.
I would move that we buy a brick.
Right. The idea of buying a brick is fantastic, but I don't know if that was fun with it within the group to buy bricks as a group, or if it's like an individual brick buying thing for folks that are, just individuals as a whole. That was fine, sir. Ed.
Was it? I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's fine as a group to buy a brick and not as individuals only.
I tell you that I've seen a number of Rotaries buy them as a group, and just with the Rotary name on it, and others. Oh, there you go. And you can have individual names on it. In my particular case, I put a brick with the member that was lost, but also I have a brick that from my family. My brother was an Army medic, served 4 tours over in an OAF and OIF. And my other brother was a Coast Guard helicopter pilot. And my father was 25 years in as a submariner and destroyer skipper. But it's all sorts of ways. It kind of shows you what different things you can do on it. You actually can put a Rotary emblem on it if you're doing it as a group, or put a particular emblem on it that represents the service. And remember, this is for all services, and that's I got to keep hitting that home. And there's a bunch of Navy guys that talk about it, but this is representative of all of you.
So Glenn has made a motion that you buy a brick. Do you want to clarify that motion based on what you saw there, Glenn?
I would move we investigate buying a $200 brick for the Satellite Rotary Club and use some of the fine money to go towards it.
use some of the fine money to pay for the break.
Got it, okay, that's fine. Here is terrible since the war, so it's been pretty bad. Well, he first motion, would like to second it.
Second,
We have a second, all in favor?
I,
Those are the ayes. So, looks like that's exactly what we'll be doing.
Excellent, good deal.
Well, thank you very much.
Making a note. All right, well, fantastic, thank you so much. And then with that said, sir, I'd like to hang out a little bit and see the rest of the meeting, it'll be just a little bit longer, but speaking of fines, I'd love to fine Mike Wallace for not being here, $5, because he's at a Smashing Pumpkins concert. And he couldn't be here, and this was actually quite riveting, so throwing it out there, we'll bring it up to him when we see him again. What's that? And I have a fine over here, go ahead as well.
I'm gonna fine myself $10 for being 10 minutes late to the Marine Corps ball dinner and sneaking in through the side.
And I will find my $10 because I think this is a fine idea.
You know what, I'll find myself $10 for the same reason as Glenn. And we got Jose, and he'll do this. Well, fantastic.
Is there any 45 bucks towards our break?
All right, 45 towards the break, that's even better. So we'll get that all taken care of and jump out in front of it.
Yeah, and remember, that's only like selling 40 raffle tickets. You have the brick done, see?
We do that too. All right, we'll pay that before we walk out the dinner. So then with that said, we'll jump right into our action 360. Raymond already hit on the nose a little bit about it, with all the fancy numbers. But we did have a great time. The final year, I believe, the Rotary Club throwing it as opposed to us. We did have what looks to be 9 elected officials and 19 people from different service clubs present. We had the city manager, Chris Constantine, our mayor, Evan Bev, and we had Raymond Foster, who did a phenomenal job of hosting the whole thing. I cannot knock him for that as much as I want to. He did an amazing job. Patrick came on out from the YMCA from 29 Palms, where we, as stated earlier, we redeemed $1,000, which was just fantastic. Over the feedback. All of those 29 Palms, we were able to get that idea out to all of these people, though. What we're doing, being able to see the base and our Rotary clubs are the only group that are constantly delivering to them, which is absolutely fantastic for us. With that said, I think we did a fantastic job with everyone there. I should recognize the San Diego Sheriffs. They did a fantastic and an amazing job of serving, including their Explorer group, I believe that's what they're called. They were great also. So with that said, we're jumping to the next item. Sell your raffle tickets until December 3rd, downtown San Diego, for the holiday extravaganza for the actual selection. Then on top of that, we have our notes on the 29 Palms Resupply Committee meeting last night. I'm gonna call Isabel up here so she go over it since she was there. So that's it.
Okay. Important dates to remember for the 29 Palms Resupply Committee. It's also going to be emailed out to you guys. Is our next committee meetings December 13th, and then another in January 17th, and then lastly, our last one will be February 21st. Our collection date is Saturday the 11th. And the delivery date will be Monday, March 11th, and then the delivery date will be driving out to 29 Palms, March 13th. Our partner relationships will be with American Legion, Post 309, and Ernie Billy's in charge of that. Another American Legion post, which Dominic, our chair, and Mike Wallace already picked up like 10 to 15 cases of diapers for the pantry. Raymond's got the one for Habitat for Humanity, World Emergency Relief Fund, and of course the San Dimas Masonic Lodge, where the drop-off will be. We're also developing a list, Raymond and Sylvia, for other food banks, because there are lots of other food banks that have too much food left over. So we can kind of accept some of that overflow. Materials we have to develop. Obviously, we have a flyer. We have the Interact Club from St. Anne's High School doing that. Social media. Raymond and I will be in charge of that, along with the Chamber of Commerce will be co-hosting. Proposed budget, mailing is $600. That's to lodges, VFWs, and then San Dimas businesses and communities. The mailers come in handy because a lot of the times people will just write us checks. Even if they don't donate food, a lot of the donations come from the mailers. Flyer development's $100, flyer printing's $200, and then Mike Wallace and Raymond will be taking care of that. Supplies will be $300, and that's for boxes, etc. Volunteer supplies, that's pizza and for the day that we move and everything that we're collecting. And then when we drive out to 29 Palms, they'll feed us there. Our social media budget's $100, and that's for Facebook advertisements. Lodge rentals, obviously for the Masonic Lodge to store everything. Lodge insurance to make sure if anything happens, we'll be fine. Fundraising ideas, QTC management, they'll be reached out or contacted by Sylvia. Then we have monetary donations on the flyer and letter. That's from the mailers. Media will be fine tuning the press release after our, the next meeting? And then roles that need to be filled. So we'll have different liaisons for different groups. Obviously, Ernie Billy's going to be in charge of the American Legions because he's like the king of all the legions. Mike Wallace and Raymond Foster have already agreed to do the mailers in Mike's fancy office with his super awesome printer. We don't need to decide the next two today, but it is a thought. Volunteer wrangler, pretty much what it sounds like, making sure all of our volunteers are in contact and helping out where they volunteer to help out. And then transportation manager, what goes in what car, what cars are going, and who's going in what cars, and then how many we need. Lastly, big box stores, Sylvia is going to be taking care of that. She's going to be reaching out to, I believe it was Home Depot or Lowe's, Target, all of those establishments to try and get box donations so we don't have to pay as much for boxes. So if you want to be involved in that committee, which is kind of the point of our club for starters, those committee dates again are December 13th, January 17th, and February 21st. Okay, that's all. Thanks for letting me be of service.
Can I tailgate on that a little bit, Dom?
Shoot.
So first, we also discussed making, we put out 5 tons last year. We took out the Marine Corps base for the Pelican Food Pantry. 5 tons is a lot of food, and it lasted 7 months. So what we decided, the committee, was to set an internal date for the semi-annual in sometime either in September or late August, early September, and target just 4 tons this time, with a target of getting a kind of a routine going where we'd have 4 tons the next time. So that's kind of, we're not telling people because we don't want them to say, hey, we'll wait till August. We're kind of setting an internal goal and seeing how this getting 8 tons to Palm Spring out to 29 Palms. And then we, this time next year, I bet we're talking about tackling Fort Irwin, and then we're going to talk about Pendleton, and we can get all these military food banks for the families stocked up. So you guys are doing a great job, and it's pretty exciting stuff. Be at the committee meetings, even if you're not going to volunteer, just so you'll know what's going on, because the most important thing we need your ideas. Rotary is about expertise. And it's about the skills you bring. It's not about the money. It's about you as human beings working on a problem. So I'm excited to have all of you and very thankful. And hey, that guy's isn't that a $10 fine he just snuck in right there behind you?
That's an employee.
All right.
Being nice.
Thank you. That's all I had, Don. Thanks.
All right, well, fantastic. Then that's what we are right where it was. All right, I think I'll go next to the other page. All right, well, fantastic. Yes, excited to see how it is. I just discussed, like I said, with the 4 tons of food, trying to make that all work out. And, okay, so we have that going on. Then we have the holiday extravaganza, which is just gonna slide right into our calendar, which works out wonderfully. Saturday, December 3rd, it's a volunteer opportunity for our members to be able to come out from 3 to 9. It's the last day of sleigh route, as we discussed, and be there for the extravaganza. You're looking at roughly about, I just spoke with Chris, who's the city manager this afternoon, roughly about 8,000 to 10,000 people will be there. So Christmas tree lighting, it's stereotypical, cars go down the road and everybody waves, it's the mayor, it's, Mrs. or Mr. Christmas or whatever it is, I don't remember, the tree gets lit, it's a whole song and dance, which just is fantastic. It's very old America right here in the foothills. So, but you do have an opportunity to look at roughly 8,000 to 10,000 people. So, with that said, volunteer opportunities, let's think about that. 3 to 9, the event's not the whole time, it is less than that, but to help set up and everything of that nature. So
Raymond wants to say something.
Hey,
Raven,
Dominic.
Raven.
Yeah, what a shock. I have something to say. Hey, so the Masonic Lodge is going to be in the parade. You guys, if you've got an old classic car somebody owns, why don't you put a $10 parade permit in and make a butcher paper banner and have it and be in the parade? You guys could be in the parade. For $10, you can be in the parade.
I think I'm pretty enough to be in a parade. I could probably wave and smile for $10.
I think that's yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Right. I don't see a reason not to. Let's find someone with a classic car. In the foothills here, it's probably a little bit hard, but we probably can find someone with a classic car. There you go. Jose's already on top. Look at him. He's jumping on top.
Tell you what, if you guys do the parade permit, I personally will spot you the $10 for the permit, man, just to see you guys in a car in the parade. It'll be worth $10.
If I check out that, I'll put on that what you can respond to by Brandon Foster. That's what you, and then I'll put for mayor underneath it. Makes everything up. So fantastic. I can't write fast enough. Oh, right. There we are with that. And then after that, on the 6th of December.
Tentative, might change.
Tentative, as I was just informed, it may change, is Tuesday, December 6th, at Berry Pizza Christmas. Going to be feedback. The Elbow Jewelry Design Center, in San Dimas, obviously. It's from 5 to 7. It's going to be a combined club assembly, so that means that Raymond will be there to lead us into what we're going into. And it'll be replacing our meeting, and it will be in person, which will be fantastic. So you should know that tentative, unless Raymond decides we're going to be there a different day. Raymond, how does it look right now?
I'm waiting for Casey to confirm. And we're going to have pizza. It's a combined club assembly where we all come together and we're inviting the community and we're just going to have pizza. We also think that we're going to try to, the drawing for the $10,000 diamond ring takes place on Saturday. This club assembly is on the Tuesday afterward at Elba, the jewelry design, who donated the $10,000 ring. So we're thinking we invite the person to present the ring to them at that club assembly. So that's what we're working on. There'll be an email. Just watch your email when it all firms up.
Well, fantastic. All right, we've got that going now. All right, and then we're going to move on to trying to get far away from all right, Tuesday, December 13th, we do have the 29 pounds resupply committee meeting. We do from 6 to 7, and it'll be all on Zoom. So I'll like to 10. We would appreciate that. Okay, together. There you go. Yeah. We are in discussion about the question, I'm sorry to say, was question box prior to that. So yeah, we do have multiple groups that are doing it, and then we discussing the question box as a whole board. We are in that area that's quite interesting 4 tons was probably, you understand, was pushing the limit for them, so we're trying to figure that out, and I don't doubt that with as many collection fines, we will. All right, so then, wow, we have just one calendar week after another, I love that. Wednesday, December 14th, the Senators Rotary Board meeting at the State Farm next to Twisted Stage, or Twisted Stage, Twisted Stage, Twisted, 12-1 in person. Mentioning that you are Rotarian, all people are, well, all are welcome, but including Rotarians, to attend and be there and see what's going on. Twisted Stage isn't a bad place to eat, so you know, got that going for you. Same day, we do have for the military family support meeting, we're gonna have our speaker that day will be Josh J. Baker. He is the state president of Area 7 of the California Enlisted Association of the National Guard of the United States. 6 7, and as always will be a hybrid meeting. So looking forward to that. All right, and with that said, we'll jump right into the 4-way test. And that's what we have today tonight for. Does everyone come on up?
How's everyone doing? Okay, well, as Chairman Foster said, here at the military front support meeting, one thing that we was asking is why the Rotary, what's the objective of Rotary? Okay, so the objective of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service and basis of a worthy enterprise. With that is that we have what we call a 4-way test, which you should follow and continue following for the rest of our life and everything you do. The process. And rule number 1 is the truth. If the problem issue you have in is the truth. Number 2 is it fair to all concerned? Is it fair to you as a person? Is it fair to the person that you live with? So it's benefit both of you. And number 3 is with goodwill and friendship. So after the conclusion and go through the problem, will it benefit you, me, the person, and the benefit those around us and build good friendship? And before the beneficial of concern, which I just kind of went ahead and carried on. And pretty much it, so go ahead and do your part and we're
Yeah. With that said, we're going to our closing remarks now. With that, let's think about that food drive committee and what we've got going on. There is a hell of a lot, it looks like from what I'm looking at on this list right here, which looks fantastic, and more money that should be raised to be able to pay for all of these things. Because that looks like it will cost enough for that one. Was going to have to reiterate that what a fantastic job the Masonic Lodge did for the Marine Corps birthday. That was absolutely wonderful. I have not attended that since I was 19, I think. And at the time, my wife was my girlfriend. So you get an idea. And it was the only other one I got to actually attend. The rest of the time, turns out there was this thing in Iraq. You guys might have heard about it. Probably not. But it was a little bit of a war. So I didn't get to attend a lot of those things, just the one in the Changa. So that was actually my second ever. So I was very thankful to be able to do that, and I had a good time. And like I said, much to my chagrin, I will say that Raymond did a phenomenal job of hosting the whole thing. So job well done. That was I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. So thank you. What else do I have on my agenda right here? We look forward to this brick buying. That'll be fantastic, and we'll be able to get that out there. I can't wait to see who the first person to get that photo for us is, if it's beyond there. Real quick question for Ed. Between the time we buy the brick and it being put down, what do you think that time frame looks like?
Trying to unmute there. We are going to be laying bricks for the Memorial Brick area, probably starting the first week of December. We're going to continue. We continue to do brick orders all along, so it won't be. It only takes about I would say less than a couple weeks to get the brick made. The company that's been doing it does it really rapidly, and the brick Memorial Brick walkway has a bunch of blanks in it, and we take the blanks out and we put the brick in. And we'll also have a way to find your brick. We're going to have a computer program where the brick It'll show where the bricks are, and then you'll be able to find your particular brick that you've sponsored.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, but we look forward to doing it now. So, you know, we're always a little bit more excited about how much faster we can do it. So, one, trust that one out there. Then with that said, I don't think we're going to see anything at all. Whatever the notes. Once again, holiday extravaganza, so let's not forget about that. It is at the time, and it will put us in front of a lot of people. Like I said, roughly 8,000 to 10,000 people, which is fantastic for our club.
Which means you should sell all your tickets.
Which means you should sell all your tickets. Exactly. With that said, I want to say once again, thank you, sir. Mr. Turner, it's been a fantastic pleasure. Thank you for bringing all of that to the forefront for us. It's right up our alley. So thank you for that. And with that, I'll conclude our meeting. Thank you so much for everyone being here tonight.